Hey, what's going on everybody? Servo here. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to talk about the Easter event. I'm going to show you my purple egg farming route, just pretty much the way I go about getting my purple eggs. And we're going to look at some Reddit posts where players have been discussing the new event. And yeah, let's just jump right into it. If you guys wouldn't mind hitting that like button, subscribe to the channel, I would really appreciate it. So up first, let's take a look at this post by Sour Lemon 720. They said, I want to know who is responsible for making me run around the realms for purple eggs. Is anyone else very annoyed that this is how we have to collect them? You know, when I first heard that they were going to be in the realms, I was so happy because I want any reason to go back to the realms. I feel like once you kind of do everything in there, there's not much of a purpose to go back in there. So any excuse I can get to go in there, I'm very hyped for. I actually hope in the future they expand upon the realms that we currently have and just make them even bigger. Like, it's really nice to have Dreamlight Valley and the DLC maps, but the game just feels more magical when you're actually in the realms, like the Disney universes from our favorite characters, you know, or from our favorite characters of movies that we watched growing up. So I think it definitely feels more magical. But I do see why some players would not be happy with it, and it's because of the slow load times, especially if you're like on the Nintendo Switch. Loading between the realms is definitely not very fast. But yeah, 470 upvotes on this, which is actually a lot. I have heard a lot of people say they just did not like them being in the realms, but I thought it was fun. I thought it was a nice way for the developers to kind of switch things up, especially after we just had the Clover event. You know, the St. Patrick's event where we had to go and scour the entire map. And honestly, I find it so much easier to find these eggs rather than them being in my valley where, you know, if you don't have the ancient vacuum, it's really hard to go and find all of the eggs. So I think it's much easier for players to go and find them in the realm. So let me show you my route on what I do to get these purple eggs. So me, I go over here, and if you didn't know, you can, you know, pull up your map, and then down at the bottom where it says fast travel, you can press that button, click on realms, and I always start off with the Mulan realm first. It seems like the most amount of eggs spawn in here, so I try to get the most that I can. Remember, you can only have up to 10 spawn across all the realms, like collectively. So I usually go there, I check that right side first, then I go up through here, and then I check on this side. I have had eggs spawn there. And then I kind of pan my camera around. I see one over there, but I'm not going to grab it yet. I always go up here. I usually find one right here. And I have found one over here. So I kind of look over on this side. Then I go through here. And as I'm navigating through this area, I kind of just pan my camera around. And then we see an egg here. So then once I get to this location, I kind of just look down that area. And then back over here. And then we look over there. And then I cross the bridge and I look because by that tree, by the river, I usually find one. And sometimes I found one right here. So then I go up through this way. I check around on this side, nothing yet. We loop around and here is another very good spot to get some eggs. We actually have one right here. I've had 5 of them spawn up here before. And then I just loop back around and make my way to the front. So that didn't take very long at all. If you were like actually just going through here, it'll take you maybe 20-25 seconds to check the entirety of the Mulan realm. And then it loops back around over here. Of course, make sure you always got some food and your sugar rush is full. And then I do leave the realm. And then the next realm I go to is the Beauty and the Beast. I feel like this one and the Mulan realm have like the highest chance to spawn eggs. So I check up here and then I go over here. They can spawn up here. As you see, there's one right here. Oh, we actually got 2 up here. And then I just loop back around. And you can, if you want, if you don't want to have to go through the effort of actually going down through here, you can stay up here at the window and kind of look out and see if you see any eggs. But I usually don't do that. I just kind of loop right here. I look to the right. I look to the left. I go in here. There's an egg. I look to the right. I look to the left. And then I make my way down here. Check around the box. Nothing there. There's an egg over here. And then I kind of loop around like this. And I'm kind of just panning around as I see. Nothing there. Nothing on this carpet. and then I go down here. So this part takes a little bit longer. Kind of want to angle your camera up. Here we go. So we have an egg here. And I don't thoroughly check this area like I probably should. I kind of just do like this and make my way around. And then pan around over here. Still no eggs, still no eggs. And then I just go back to the entrance. After that, I go to the Moana realm. Now, I was having a lot of luck with this realm in the beginning. And now they just don't really spawn. If I do get an egg, it's usually just one. So I kind of go up down this direction. And then I look and I pan through like this. I have had one spawn here at the very end. So I kind of go out this way. And then I just loop back around. And then I leave the realm. So this realm only takes you like 10 seconds. And then I hit up the Lion King realm. I feel like this one has a decent spawn rate. I loop around and then I look back at the entrance because sometimes one will spawn over there. Then I just make my way through the cave and I turn over here, look over here, and just zoom on through. So as you see, like actually going through the realms doesn't take that long. You don't have to like go and search every little corner, like go over here and look over here. They're pretty obvious. The purple eggs, they are pretty obvious where they are. As you see, I didn't really see one over here. And then if you don't catch it, you can always catch it next time too. And then lastly, we have the Toy Story realm. I don't know about you guys, but I never get them to spawn in here. Like ever. So what I do is I go around at this direction. And then I loop around. See nothing here. Nothing but disappointment around every corner. Check over here and nothing. And I do check the closet. I read a comment from somebody. Yeah, okay, so they can't spawn in here. I was about to say, I read a comment from somebody that said they got one to spawn in the closet. So I just got one there. And then nothing up here. I've never got one to spawn up here at the top, though. Now, while we're in here, I did see another Reddit post. A lot of players were thinking that this was like an Easter egg for the Easter event. This Easter egg has always been on this book. It's been in the game for over 2 years. I know, I thought it would have been really cute if they added like a little secret or a little Easter egg or something in one of these realms. But yeah, this book has always had this Easter egg on here. And I did go back and look at old footage of mine to double check. And yeah, video from 2 years ago did in fact have that Easter egg on there. Now, the great thing about this is the purple eggs actually spawn every 5 minutes. So usually by the time I'm done with a full round, I can then go back in there and go to the Mulan realm if I wanted and restart this rotation. So I would come over here, I would look around. Now, I would think it would, like if you came back every 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or every hour, whatever, that's good. I wouldn't like constantly just be rotating through these realms. But I'm just saying they can spawn back. So I literally just finished up that last round. So I could come over here and make the same rotation. And I guarantee you there's going to be at least another purple egg in here. And I was doing this a lot last night when I was doing my dream snap. Because I was needing to craft some of the items. So I was just constantly making loops around. And it was spawning purple eggs over and over. So this spot, like I said, is always a hot spot. Here we go. We got one right over here. So I got that egg. And then I would just loop back around to the beginning. All right, now that you see my route and how I do it, I want to show you a tip that's going to make this even easier, especially if you're someone that kind of struggles seeing like small objects on the screen. So if you are on PC, I'm not sure if this works for console. I haven't looked at the settings. I would imagine it does not work. But if you're on PC, you can actually go to graphics and you can change them. So you see how we have like grass everywhere, you know, foliage and stuff. If I go to graphics and then I go down to graphics preset and I just take it from ultra high all the way down to ultra low, you can now see that it removed a lot of the grass and stuff. So now it's a lot easier to see the eggs. So then if I go through the Mulan realm, you're going to spot these purple eggs so much easier. So let's see if we have any over here. Okay, we have one right here. Let's see, is there any more over here? Let's go over to that like really grassy spot, the hill. Let's see. Oh, there's an egg right there. Look, it like literally grabs your attention so easily. And then over here, I used to look over there by the river and there's no grass there anymore. So you can see if there's a purple egg over there. There's an egg over here. Wow, I did not know one could spawn over here. See, there's like grass and stuff that covers this. I probably never would have seen that egg. And then if we come over here to that spot with the hill, look at that, all the way back here, you can see that there is 2 eggs. So then let me go ahead and swap it back to my normal, which is ultra high. And you see they're a lot harder to see than when we have those graphics like super low render. Yeah, look at that. That grass was literally covering up that egg. And then we go and we switch it back. Ultra low, boom, it's right there, no grass in front of it. So this could definitely help you out. It's not gonna like damage your PC or anything. If anything, it's probably gonna make your PC run a lot smoother and faster because it doesn't have to render all these items. But like this area is normally just full of grass and you can see everything. And it works for the other eggs as well. You know, your blue eggs and stuff. This is my normal valley, which usually has grass and stuff. Now, if you have this grass that you actually manually place down, it's still going to be there. But there's not as much detail as there normally is. So if you're playing this, and you can actually take a dream snap, by the way, with these low render settings. So we have a blue egg right here. But yeah, you can actually take a dream snap. And it'll probably mess some people up. They'll end up thinking that you're like using a different filter or something, or some confusion. But yeah, you can use this to go around your valley and try and find those blue eggs easier as well. So for example, I'm coming up here to the Forgotten Lands. Look how flat this is and everything. And then let me switch it back real quick. We're going to go back to ultra high. And then look how much grass is actually over here. So it fully removes it. And then let's go back to ultra low. And then boom, now I can see everything. There's a blue egg over here. I can spot that one. Back here where there's usually tons of grass, if I wanted to see one, like if I actually had an egg here, I could spot it over here. Same with this location on around the corner. And it's very useful over here in the Forest of Valor. As you can see, everything is fully leveled. No grass is rendering, and you can see any blue eggs that will end up spawning. Now, what if you're a new player? We have Everprime here that said purple eggs, tips for new players. They said, hey y'all, I know the purple eggs are hidden in certain realms, Moana, Toy Story, etc. As of now, I only have Moana and Beauty and the Beast realms open, and that's where I found all 10 eggs. I don't know if it's just a coincidence. Maybe it's a good idea to only open one realm if you're starting a new game. So I went to my third account, and I only had 2 realms open. And I only had 1 egg spawn in them. And I came back later and it was still 1. So I don't know if my account's bugged or not. If this is like actually works, this is going to be very helpful. Because imagine having all 10 of your eggs constantly spawn in the Toy Story realm. So if you're a new player, you could check that out. And then we have this user over here, like Black Lightning, said purple egg hunt tip. So I'm a master of being lazy when it comes to foraging in this game. And I figured out that you can get almost a glance at pretty much the whole maze from the windows in the Beauty and the Beast. There are 3 windows that is just the this view at once. Yeah, so there are multiple windows, kind of like I was showing. And you can get a good view of it, but you can't on the backside. And actually most of my eggs ended up spawning over on the backside or hidden in an area you can't really see it. So it is kind of helpful. And you can kind of get a good view, but chances are half the time you're going to end up missing eggs if you do it this way. And then here's that post I was talking about. We got Godfly here that said, just noticed this egg painting in the Toy Story realm for the Eggstravaganza. Yeah, I like I said, I double checked this. This has actually been in the game for over 2 years, unfortunately. Now we got Destructa here that said, egg hunting gone wrong. Why do I have to move everything in my valley to get the eggs? So I actually have got lucky. I haven't had any eggs spawn in any weird spot. Well, I've also been using my vacuum, so that could be why. But I have seen a couple posts. Some people have found their eggs actually glitched inside of items like the fireplace in the Beauty and the Beast realm. And then this user, obviously they've been decorating and stuff, so they would have to like move this lamppost. Chances are they would have to move over one of these buildings too. And that's very frustrating. I know like Eternity Isle of Rift in Time costs the money, so it's like a shame. So the vacuum is just one of the most useful things in the game. I'm wondering if they're ever going to add like a free-to-play version of the vacuum that uses Dreamlight instead of Mist. I feel like that could be a possibility. They did it with like the slow cooker and the ancient cooker. So if you guys don't own a Rift in Time, hold out. Hopefully sometime this year they release that and you won't have to deal with this issue as much anymore. But that is it for today's video. I hope my route actually helps you out a little bit, at least makes things a little easier. The eggs do seem to spawn literally like everywhere in the realm. They don't seem to have predetermined spawn points like I thought. They're kind of just in the same areas, if that makes sense. So I do hope this video helped you out a lot. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. Good luck with your egg hunting, and I'll see you in the next one.